In my D&D games, I have come to realize that there's actually some danger to using too much AI to prep encounters. But I will be honest with you. The encounters that have been the most successful in my games, the ones that the players have really enjoyed the most, have honestly just come right from my own inspiration, from my own creativity. And it'll spit me out 15 pages of stuff. But here's the problem. Now I gotta go through and read all that stuff if I want to use it. A lot of it won't work because it's not the game master, it doesn't understand the full context of the game, etc. So right away we create a time suck with that. But then we're gonna have to erase stuff, come up with new stuff anyway, try to piece together the stuff that it put in there. It's a lot of work. It's actually more work to try to fix what it gives me usually than it is to just start from scratch and do it myself. Hello friends, welcome back to GM Philosophy in the Morning. I'm the GM Philosopher. This is the channel where we empower game masters to run better games, and I'm super happy that you are here today. I'm a full-time pro D&D game master and TTRPG content creator. I've been running games for over 24 years. And today I want to talk about the dangers of using AI to prep your sessions. Now, if you watch much of my content, you know that I virtually take a pro AI stance on most things. I love using AI to generate art for my campaign stuff. I love using it to generate tokens. I love using it to help me create like beautiful cards of magic items. I love using it for all kinds of things. However, I've been doing a lot of session prep lately. At the moment, I'm running 6 games per week. I have a friends and family game and then 5 pro games. And I started out leaning heavy into leveraging AI to help me prep for sessions. And I mean across the board. I'm talking about things like stat blocks, story beats, plot hooks. I really experimented with using AI to help me prep for a lot of things. And now, some of you may not like AI. If you fall into this camp, drop a comment. Let me know why. If you support, GMs using AI in their games, drop a comment there. Let me know what you think about that. But here's the thing. In my D&D games, I have come to realize that there's actually some danger to using too much AI to prep encounters. Here is why. One thing that AI isn't so good at is kind of finding the art in the encounter hook, right? A lot of times it'll suggest something and they're kind of good ideas, but then you may have to kind of wade through and pick out the good parts, okay? So if you are just stuck and you don't have any good ideas, sometimes AI is a great way to do this. But I will be honest with you. The encounters that have been the most successful in my games, the ones that the players have really enjoyed the most, have honestly just come right from my own, inspiration, from my own creativity. I am finding more and more that when I just dig into my own creative energy and use that to create encounter hooks, ideas for villains, etc., then what I end up with is something a lot better. It feels more pure, it feels deeper, and this is not probably a surprise to many people, right? When we use our human creativity and we follow our inspiration and basically we let the spontaneity and the serendipity of our creative energies create these things, we're actually really being intentionally creative. And this is a very intentionally creative hobby. And if you are at all a creative and artistic person, which pretty much every game master is, then you're probably going to get better results from this. Does this mean that using AI to come up with good ideas isn't a good idea sometimes? No. Does this mean that AI always sucks at generating encounter hooks or whatever? No, it does not. But the hooks, the details, the characters in them, the story elements, sometimes it is just better not to flesh all that out. And here's another reason why. One thing that AI will do is it'll generate a massive amount of content very quickly. And if you're not careful, you'll really create a time suck for yourself where you can't really afford it, okay? Here's what I mean. It's very easy for me to say, I need an encounter, about a death knight. Will you create me an encounter, for a death knight? I kind of want them to encounter a death knight. Kind of tell me why he's there, tell me what his mission is, give me a stat block for him, make him good for a level 8 party, blah, 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 right? So I can do all this and it'll spit me out 15 pages of stuff. But here's the problem. Now I got to go through and read all that stuff if I want to use it. A lot of it won't work because it's not the game master. It doesn't understand the full context of the game, etc. I think that if I consistently uploaded all my transcripts and it knew all about the whole history of the game, it might do this better. But that's something I haven't done. I only really do this session by session, and I don't really have interest in doing that right now. And this is kind of why. Okay, so I'll read down through that whole list of things. And first of all, this takes a lot of time, guys. This is time that I could be spending otherwise very, productively involved in other things. Okay. I don't have time to read 15 pages of stuff that I may or may not even use for my game. So right away, we create a time suck with that. But then we're going to have to erase stuff, come up with new stuff anyway, try to piece together the stuff that it put in there. It's a lot of work. It's actually more work to try to fix what it gives me usually than it is to just start from scratch and do it myself. Right? This is sort of a creative, strange thing that happens with AI sometimes. Now, with that being said, what is AI great for prepping? It is great for prepping maps of my villages and such. It is great for prepping images of magic items. It's great for prepping tokens of my NPCs and villains. It is great for helping me to create scenes. If I want to show my characters, like, here's what this building looks like, or here's what this valley looks like. It's great for that. I think it's amazing. Right? These are really good, productive things that AI helps me to prep with. It also is really good for helping me to generate things like store names. What kind of businesses would be in a village? So one thing I'll do is I'll say, like, okay, this village is about 5,000 people. It's in a valley. There's a river there. Will you tell me what is the most common sense, like historically accurate layout of this village? And then it'll give me a bunch of information. This is awesome. And then I'll say, I love this. Will you name all these businesses? Create me a map of this, and then make sure you have a map legend on there so that I can, so the player characters can kind of see where the stores are and how the village is laid out. And then it'll do it, and it will do a really good job. It has gotten way better at doing this kind of thing lately. I believe this is a cool way to use it for prep. Now, when it comes to story arcs in this village, that's where I stop. I don't use AI anymore for story hooks. I'm just thinking to myself, who is here? Let's start generating some key NPCs. Let's generate the NPC for the tavern. I know that the players are going to go to the tavern, so I'm going to say to the AI, hey, create me a top-down VTT image of Rusty's Tavern here in this village. Make it like it probably would be laid out, in this village, make it accurate. And it does a really good job of giving me a VTT top-down image of this. In fact, AI has gotten way better at this in like the last 6 months than it used to be. But then I'm going to be like, okay, make me a token for a bartender named Rusty and give him like a brown hat and make him look a little grumpy. Boom, make token. And then I'll be like, okay, who else works here? Make me a dwarven woman barmaid, and give her a green dress. Boom, it does this. Now we have the people who work there. And I'm like, I kind of want a mysterious stranger to be sitting in the corner of the bar. Okay, make me a token of a mysterious stranger who has tiefling horns, who is looking very weirdly over to the side, and he's sipping an ale. Boom, we get token. And now I'm thinking, okay, what's this stranger doing here? Oh, he has a treasure map. Why? Because there are mountains just past this village. And there's a cave guarded by trolls, but in that cave, there is literally a treasure. And he spent everything he had to acquire this map. And he may have even had to, knock some people off to get it. And he's out here secretly, he looks a little suspicious, but he's actually looking for people to hire to help him get that treasure. And so now I'm working through this story in my mind. Maybe also I'm like, oh, maybe these trolls have been harassing the village. So then I make a scene where when they come into the village, there are guards at the front. And I'm like, okay, generate me guard tokens, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, now make me the sheriff's token, blah, blah, blah. And when they come into the village, it's like the sheriff, will stop them and be like, hey, whoa, whoa, whoa. Have you seen any trolls on the road? We've been having troll attacks. And you see that they're like armed up. They're like really on high alert and they're really questioning them before they come in. And maybe I almost want them to be like suspicious of something. So like maybe these trolls have been really attracted to horses. Let's just say. So if they have horses, it's going to be like, you cannot bring those horses in here. We've been having troll raids and they are obsessed with horses. You have to leave your horses outside. We're not bringing them into the village. So this could be a whole like weird encounter. And it's all just kind of based around my ideas. As I keep fleshing out the village, I build up on these kind of encounter ideas. But I'm going to be honest with you. This ends up being so much more coherent and so much more like good than when I just jump to AI and say, hey, give me ideas, blah, blah, blah. A lot of times it's way too convoluted. I don't end up using much of it at all. And if anything, the whole 15 pages might only inspire like one good idea that I then spiral from. And yeah, that can be helpful. But honestly, I get those ideas while I'm generating the tokens, while I'm listening to music, while I'm doing it, while, I think about the show I watched yesterday. I think about the movie that I watched. I think about the game session I ran the other day and what I wished was in it, right? Those kinds of things. So at the end of the day, I don't hate using AI for prep, but I do find that in my processes, and I prep for 6 sessions a week, guys. So I'm doing a lot of prep. I just find that this is how I've come to start using AI. This is also how I'm not using AI right now. I love it. I love it. It's so helpful to me and it saves me a tremendous amount of time, but it can also cost me time if I don't use it in the right way. Boom. That's what I wanted to tell you this morning on this video. Thank you so much for coming back to another episode of GM Philosophy in the morning. Empowering game masters run better games is the goal. Roll some D100s for me at your next game, friends, and I will see you on the next one.